My name is Audrey, and I'm a first-year grad student in jewelry and metalsmithing. In my work, I use my research and experiences to explore themes in feminist theory. Some of these themes in the past have included objectification, connection, and historical narrative. So now I'll take you on a tour of the studio. Okay, so this is the general studio space. We have the forming room in there, electroforming in the back. Then moving through, we have our soldering space for general use, so most of the students use this area. The torches. We have casting over here, some of the kilns, and then the pickle area in the sink. Moving back here, we have enameling, and then some more kilns. And then moving on upstairs, this is the loft for the grad students. There's some general equipment up here as well, including the second lathe and milling machine, puck welder, and then we have a soldering area for grad use. And then moving back here, this is my studio space personally, these two desks, so it's a little bit of a mess. And then these are some of the projects that I've been working on recently. So this is a silver tea strainer with powder coat, it's almost done. And then a couple brooches. This is glass and ebony. This is another brooch of mine. This is purple heart, copper, and silver. So this is generally what I've been working on this semester. And that's the studio. Hope you enjoyed the tour.
Hi, my name is Christine Bolton. I'm a graduate student at BGSU studying art history with a focus in modern and contemporary art. And right now I'm working on a thesis that focuses on the emotions that the viewer experiences when viewing a work of art, specifically the negative emotions. So in some cases, viewers feel so strongly because of a work of art that they're viewing that they act out in some way where they attack somebody else in the gallery or they attack the work of art itself. And so I'm really diving into what the themes are of the art that makes them feel that way, why they act out, and whether or not it's the work of art that makes them do that or if it's some sort of psychological element that causes them to act out in that way.
Hi there. Welcome to Jeff's studio. This being Jeff's studio, that would make me your host for the next minute or so, Jeff Eden. I'm a second-year grad student. I am originally from Charlestown, Rhode Island, and prior to coming here, I lived in Central Ohio, where essentially I just rotted for about 12 years, working in a soulless, soul-sucking, horrible, toxic job, and I decided to say, this sucks, and I came here, where I'm now making art. What kind of art is Jeff making? I'm glad you asked. Maybe you didn't, but I'm glad you asked anyway. I do, as you can, if you want to just show the nice people. I do landscapes. Ta-da. Specifically, I like to do landscapes that are these are emotionally charged pieces that are sublimations of oft overlooked areas of places I've lived, visited, otherwise have some sort of emotional connection with. And so I've got everything from the parking lot here outside the School of Art, the trees right outside my studio. Thanks for knocking that paint over, whoever you are. And even these hideous bushes that grace the end of the driveway at my parents' house. So that's what I do, that's who I am, and, well, thanks for visiting my studio. Enjoy the rest of ArtsX.
Hi, my name is Kathleen Paul. I'm a painter, and I'm originally from Cary, Ohio. However, I've lived in Bowling Green for probably about the past 21 years. I work mostly in the abstract with various water-based mediums, so your acrylic ink, watercolor, and gouache. Sometimes I throw in some graphite, colored pencil. Since I can remember, since I was really young, I've always felt like I was on a search for something. I don't know. I still feel like that. I think that's where the interest in this series started, was this desire to capture this search. I think that I've always found the use of art in its many forms and as a means to discover self or find meaning in being in self. I make choices, deliberate choices, to push and pull the medium. As you can see, there are layers upon layers pushing forward, and some are being pushed back. If you look really close, you can see some of the original layers. I like to think of these original layers, like the graphite that I placed first, as being remnants or memories that are emerging, kind of like how memories emerge when we're sitting alone, perhaps not really thinking of anything, and then something just pops into our head. We often think of lines leading from one point to another, and that we acknowledge that 2 points on a map make a line. There's a journey that takes place in that line. Lines are really important to my work, important to capturing this journey that I'm on, and I want to take others on as well, or at least acknowledge that they're on a visual journey. This is the new piece that I'm working on currently, so you can see it in its infancy. As you can see, there are already lines being placed down, and by the time this piece is done, there will be more. We think of journeys as being pretty linear. Rarely do we see them all occupying the same space, and I have a real interest in capturing that.
My name is Anna Yates. I'm from Oxford, Mississippi, and I'm a graduate student with an emphasis in 2D studies. Through printed matter and illustration, I render what I think of as portals into a world unknown. I primarily work in charcoal and chalk pastels, rendering forms on top of these flat, screen-printed geometric shapes. The saturation of the printed areas provide a luminosity to the drawings, while the pastels themselves create these deep, velvety shadows to draw the viewer in closer. I'm inspired by the sort of grandiose themes found in opera, poetry, and surrealist art, and I use these things to create fragmented theatrical narratives that depict these subversions of the natural world to express my unresolved questions about the metaphysical. The plants, animals, and objects in my works are chosen for their versatility as both symbols and anchors to reality. Then they are placed in unnatural environments of these shadowy polygons and flat fields of color. The tension created between familiar and unfamiliar elements reflect the feelings of fear and fascination invoked when we encounter concepts that transcend human comprehension. In my work, I seek to entice viewers into a strange realm, where they are encouraged to imagine where these puzzle pieces connect, yet are left unsettled by the lack of their resolute answers. Between the spaces of what we know and the shadows beyond where our eyes can see, our imaginations guide us to a place where magic can be made real.
Hi, my name is Chauncey Hay. I am from Youngstown, Ohio, and I'm an MFA graduate student with a focus in 2D studies, primarily in printmaking. My current visual research explores my relationship to digital cloud storage services, such as Google Photos, through formal aesthetic qualities and digital to analog translations. My work begins by filtering through curated memories repackaged by Google's AI software and Google Photos. I digitally manipulate several randomly chosen photos into one digital collage, screen print the resulting image as a small CMYK edition, and create a new physical collage from the prints. The resulting physical collage utilizes fragments of the prints, inventing a new space that obscures the photographic origins. This process is reflective of the way AI interprets photographic memories by their metadata qualities, curating them based on a binary system instead of one based on subtle context. Although the invented space conceals the context, spatial definition, and significance of the source material, it reveals an abstraction that playfully invites the viewer to interpret and navigate the available information, much like the organized photos and videos stored within cloud storage services.
Hi there, my name is Rebecca Alviani. I'm from a small town in northwestern Pennsylvania, which is where I received my BFA in graphic design in 2015. Now, I am a second-year digital arts MFA candidate here at BGSU. My focus within the digital art spectrum is centered in photography and videography. Currently, I'm using this media to create a body of work that explores themes of objecthood and object memory through multiple interactions within an abandoned community. I have had a lifelong fascination with abandoned spaces, but this particular community is very unique in the sense that it is a full community, abandoned recently, just in 2010, and many of the inhabitants had to leave so quickly that they left significant amounts of personal belongings. I am drawn specifically to these belongings and details that, in my opinion, show forms of raw beauty that may otherwise go unnoticed. Many people go into these spaces and they don't take an opportunity to look through the photo albums that have been left or even look at the clothing and wonder what type of person this was and why did they choose to leave these things behind. Through my work in documenting this space, and especially these objects, I hope to stir and evoke an emotional response that will also provoke in-depth thought about the spaces and objects that we so often abandon.